I am here to talk about the Wall Street Journal article. I'm going to read you a little of it because it's fascinating, and you guys are going to want to hear this. If you don't have a subscription because it is behind a paywall, then I suggest you listen to at least some of what I'm going to say. So the headline is Disney decides to go for woke. Opposition to parents' rights really the hill for a children's entertainment company to die on? Is it? I don't think so. Anyway, let's go. And it's written by, let's go back up here, Gerard Baker, who is a columnist at large for the Wall Street Journal. And I wanted to remind you guys that the Wall Street Journal is the biggest financial newspaper in the world. Okay. And it is owned by the biggest shareholder at Disney, Rupert Murdoch. Let's talk. So here it is. If executives of the Walt Disney Company are serious about tackling the endemic poison of cisgendered white patriarchal ideology in our wicked society, it's high time they revisited their enormous back catalog of works that have promoted this pernicious propaganda for too long. And I'm going to tell you, this is sarcasm. Okay, hint of sarcasm. It is not enough to start making movies that reflect and celebrate our modern sexual mores, as we have learned lately is their intent. They need to make urgent reparations for the pollution they have poured into the impressionable minds of young children over the first disgraceful century of the company's existence. I would recommend establishing a large team of young managers, recent graduates in critical gender theory from our most selective universities. Again, this is sarcasm. Sarcasm. All thoroughly trained in enforcement techniques used in corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and dedicated to eliminating every noxious hint of gender rigidity from the company's output. The work will be arduous because the damage is vast, from Lady and the Tramp and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to The Lion King. The very titles of these repugnant efforts at juvenile indoctrination are throwbacks to the age of prejudice, stereotyping, and the study of human biology. This guy, Gerard Baker, is fucking kicking ass right here. Okay, I'm just gonna drop an F-bomb. Perhaps the smart people in the company's technology department might come up with some kind of digital book burning exercise to expunge from the national consciousness every last one of these offensively binary 101 Dalmatians. Only can they get on to the remaking the childhood classics, Peter Pansexual, the story of a child who never grew up, but still entered into fulfilling open relationships with pirates, fairies, and yes, lost boys. Dumbo, preferred pronoun, she. The inspiring tale of a brave little elephant who, after transitioning, became the most successful circus act of all time, easily surpassing in aerial agility all the cisgendered females. Before admission to Disney World, every 5-year-old should be required to sit through a day-long indoctrination program on the full rainbow of sexual and gender possibility. Then, duly re-educated in the LGBTQ interrogated to protect the public against any lingering vestige of prejudice, and carefully inspected for the removal of offensive items, such as princess costumes. They will be permitted to proceed through the turnstiles into the ideologically compliant theme park that will really be the happiest place on earth. Okay, now we get to the serious. It's easy to mock, but when a company whose products have entertained, enlivened, and enriched the lives of billions of children and their parents decides it must make a stand against the parental rights and education bill What does it expect? By joining in the campaign to distort the objectives of Florida's new law, defame the people behind it, and deprive parents of the right to determine whether their children as young as 5 should be taught about sexual orientation or gender identity in the classroom, Disney executives invite something much worse than ridicule. They place risking themselves on the side of a small minority of unrepresentative ideologues who are trying to remake the relationship between children, their parents, and teachers. Larger problem, Disney's dutiful absence to the noisy extremists represents is the way in which those who seek to control our culture are redefining a central element of democratic pluralism, what it means to be open and intolerant society. I am sure there is no shortage of bigots in this country and elsewhere with malevolent views about minorities, people who would deny basic rights to people of certain sexual orientation or those genuinely ambivalent about their gender identity. But most Americans aren't like that. They're sympathetic to particular challenges that these people face, and they want them to be respected and loved and given opportunities available to everyone. That used to be considered, but in the normal use of language, tolerant. But the rules have changed. It's not enough to be tolerant if you're a citizen or a corporation. You need to be a participant in a campaign to reorient our culture, to expand the horizons of sexual awareness to every 5-year-old in the country, and subscribe to the mandatory proposition that there is no such thing as biological sex. It's the same with race. Even a decade ago, we all knew what bigotry looked like. A white supremacist was someone who believed that race was the defining characteristic of humans and the detriment of their ability, and that white people were inherently superior. I've always found it self-refuting that white people who articulated this view always seem to be among the lowest forms of intelligent life on the planet. True. But bigotry has been redefined. White supremacy has imputed to all white people and only those who own up to it can begin the long journey toward eradicating it. Like during the riots, BLM bullshit, when you saw entire white families kneeling down before terrorists, black BLM, Antifa. Okay. In this now dominant view, race is now indeed the defining characteristic of humans, the detriment of every individual's moral condition. So instead of striving to be a tolerant society, we are now directed to become the very opposite. This intolerant place where any risk of genuine intellectual diversity, independent thought, or the rights of parents to instruct their children evidently needs coercive policing by an institution wearing Mickey Mouse ears. And that's it. Okay, so where did this come from? First off, as I said, this article was in the Wall Street Journal, written by a guy. Let's go up and again remind us what his name is, because it's Gerard Baker, I think, but we have to go look and make sure. Gerard Baker. He's an editor at large at the Wall Street Journal, but who owns it? Rupert Murdoch, who is the largest shareholder at Disney. Lines are drawn. This is the biggest investors' publication in the world. Okay, everybody read that. Everybody who's in business read that and knows that. Why did it show up there? Well, Rupert Murdoch, probably. And probably Bob Chapek. Probably Susan Arnold. I don't think they are, Zobi, so don't ask questions like that if you're not going to listen. They're not. All right, there's a reason why the investors wanted Bob Chapek there. And right now, they're in the middle of a civil war with a very small, minute minority of cryboys. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that before we get back into the investors. Ladies and gentlemen, There is a group, a very small minority of people in this country that want you to believe, despite the opportunities they've had, despite where they work, that they are fucking victims. Okay? They don't have any empathy for you. They don't have any empathy for the kids they're trying to indoctrinate. Right? I talked about this in my upload. It's intolerance on them, but they use their victim status, and they're not, to beat you over the head and make you feel guilty about saying, no, you're not going to do that. No, these kids deserve a childhood. They don't need to hear this shit from you. Okay. They turn it around and use this status to bully you, to attack you. If you are a normal female, I'm not going to use their bigoted, intolerant words. Hey, Maze, I'm not going to use their intolerant, to me, if you call me cisgendered, that's the N word, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? You use that, and you're standing in front of me, I'll break your jaw. I'll go to town on you. Okay? That is a no-no. Just like calling me Ms. You don't call me Ms. I did a video, I don't know if you've seen it, Maze, called the Reedy Creek War. And in 1967, just to get off this subject for a little bit, Disney was given basically the right, in the Reedy Creek Improvement Act, to govern itself, okay? And there are legislators on both sides, by the way, in Florida, by the way, who are looking to repeal that. And I talked about it, how this actually helps Bob Chapek and Susan Arnold isolate the people in the video that the Zoom call video that I made, and people like Susan Alonso, isolate them so they can get rid of them. Okay, but let's talk about this. These people are not victims. They want. I mean, when you watch the video, there's a black lady named Latoya Ravenel who talks about how she was treated in high school. She's my age. Who gives a fuck? That was almost 40 years ago. Okay? All right? I graduated in 86. I look at her and say she might even be older than me. Okay, so let it go, let it go. I don't give a fuck anymore. All right, let it go. But they use that to beat us over the head. Okay, they're not victims. I mean, I'll tell you something. Do these people look like they get up in the morning worried about being bullied? Go watch that video. All right, go watch that video. No, they don't. But what they do is they insist they're the victim. Meanwhile, your kid is the victim. Meanwhile, you, as a mom or dad, are a victim. Okay? They do not want you to have any control over what your kid learns. And they want teachers to be able to hide issues from you. Here's the deal. Candace Owens posted a thing on Twitter, and she basically, I'm going to paraphrase what she said. If your children are exposed to pornography, etc., that's illegal. That is basically, you're going to prison. Okay? Doesn't matter where. Teachers doing that, and they do that. Disney, etc. Whoever does that goes to jail. That is, that is cops showing up at your door saying, we want your computer. Okay? Not a good thing. All right? And let me explain something, though. Here's the hypocrisy. You've got Victoria Alonso at the GLAAD Awards telling the crowd. She had a 45-minute interview or talk with Bob Chapek. And he probably listened to her going, "You're a diversity hire. Why are you here? Why are you in my company?" But she basically I mean, it was pathetic what she said. She basically said, I said to him, "Why, don't we have the right to be happy and be free?" This woman works at Marvel Studios. She is not talented. She is not a creative. She has no business being there. The only reason why she's there is she's a diversity hire because she's a lesbian. Aren't we all lucky? Thank you, God, for... That's the only reason why. She got an opportunity that somebody else who's far more talented and better equipped to run whatever department she's running didn't get because she was a quota hire. That is bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. And it doesn't even have to do with it doesn't have to do with the basically equal opportunity. That is unequal opportunity. I'm pretty sure that in a normal world, she never would have got that job. And the reason why isn't because she's a dyke. Okay? It's because she can't do the fucking job. Here's an example. Carrie Hart, Lucasfilm. She helped produce Rogue One. She was #1 in the story group. She helped produce TLJ. She was the first one that said, Rian Johnson's script, okay, we're doing this. Kathy Kennedy signed off, first draft, there it goes. She was the one that decided whatever was Solo. She was part of that production team. Then, that summer, that fall, she was let go. She no longer works for Lucasfilm. Now, she's appeared at Pixar. Okay? She's been doing, she's basically a hired gun. She did work for Rian Johnson for a time. All right? But now she's a hired gun. Do you want to know why they got rid of her at Lucasfilm? A, Kamran will say it, she wasn't equipped for the job she got it because she's a black woman. And she's woke AF. Okay. She wasn't equipped for the job. She made shitty decisions. Bob Iger said that chick has got to go. She was a scapegoat for the ultimate bad decision maker, Kathy Kennedy and Bob Iger. Okay. This is the problem. Okay. When you watch Captain Marvel, not that I've seen it, or watch Shang-Chi or the Eternals, you get to see the reflection of the bullshit people like Alonzo put in there. LaToya Ravenel. Okay. Kari Burke. Okay. They're the rest of these people who don't give a fuck about telling a good story, who don't give a shit about what will the audience think. They want to queer everything up. Okay? Because, let's see, LaToya Alonzo, or LaToya Ravenel, she's a victim. Even though she's not, she's a victim. In her delusional, addled brain. Let's see. Kari Burke has 2 kids. One's pansexual, as she says, and the other's trans or something. Munchausen's by proxy here. I'm sure the kids are not old enough to fucking figure out where their own noses are. But here we are again. Let's see. Alan Munch, I think that's what his name is. Obviously gay. Obviously. He opens up and says, this is all in that video I made about the Zoom call. Okay. All they are, therefore, is to put their opinion, reflect themselves onto the screen. They don't give a shit about a good story. What's my rule about telling a good story? The author isn't in it. okay? The author doesn't exist. The author is nowhere, okay? You know, you can tell it's a George Lucas story in Star Wars. You can tell an Indiana Jones film that's been influenced by that Steven Spielberg and George and Harrison were part of. I mean, there's a way to do it, but do you see their opinions anywhere in this? No. When you hear George talk about Palpatine, he did bring up Richard Nixon, and I'm like, you old hippie. What? Does Nixon hide under your bed and come flying out at night to scare the shit out of you? Let it go. He's dead. It's over. Okay? But he also brought up Napoleon, Hitler, Stalin, other leaders that Palpatine was fashioned after. Okay? So we've got that going, and it's interesting. So you don't get his opinion about current politics, except for Newt Gunray, and the prequels. Okay, you don't see it at all in the original trilogy. However, in the sequel trilogy, we get the bestest ever. We get Rose Tico, Chairman Mao's fourth wife. We get the tokenization of Finn. We get the sexual ambiguity of Poe, and that comes right out of Oscar Isaac's mouth. Okay. Then we get Admiral Holdo, who is the only one. I'd probably break her jaw. I hate women like that. I fucking hate them. The reason is this. They make themselves physically grotesque just to get noticed. And everything they do is about what they have or what they're concerned about between their legs. They don't give a fuck about doing a good job. They don't give a fuck about being a leader. Okay, now we've got Disney in a pickle. All because, the board members, basically from what Doomcock said, forced Bob Chapek into that dumb apology. And he never should, when he said no comment, he never should have said a word after. It was his Kobayashi Maru moment, and he went, all right, now, granted, the guy wants to work to be CEO for a while. And I understand he's worried about his job. Okay, but now it looks to me that he's got the biggest shareholder at Disney going, hey, babe, what's going on? What is this about? Where's my money? And Disney has been held hostage by the little droplets of shit that Bob Iger left on his way out the door. Susan Alonso, the little bitch factory at Pixar. These other people and Reimagine. Okay. This is a problem. Okay. And these people are not victims. They have way better jobs than we do. They all make more money than we do. Okay. But they're victims. Look, we're dealing with a bunch of mentally unstable human beings. Okay. When I finally get this all going where I can have people on stream, I'm going to have some gay friends on this, and they will explain why this bothers them, why they don't like these people. Okay, I'm going to have one talk about something that will blow your fucking mind. Okay, and when you look at your kids and say, don't you ever do that. Don't get involved with that. Okay, there's a good reason. Okay, but we're not talking about that. However, well, Mazurus, I know the guy who created the Log Cabin Republicans. Bruce is a friend of mine. He's also one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Okay, my friend Charles, too. another a guy in Hollywood who dared to ask during the AIDS epidemic why they don't close the bathhouses and why people don't change their behavior. That seems like a logical step. Why? Because they want the right to be. All right, look, straight people can be really fucking dirty, filthy. There are plenty of guys out there who've gone from woman to woman to woman and spread STDs far and wide. Can I have you meet any heavy metal lead singer from the 1980s? Okay? All right? However, that does not excuse the shit that other people do. Both are disgusting and wrong, and it is not a good way to live. You end up laying in a gutter with blood coming out of every orifice. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, these people at Disney want that for your kids. Think about it. Bob Chapek knows that. Bob Chapek, when you look at the apology, first off, he did not expect the bullshit reaction, okay, from these droplets of shit, which is what they are. And Eastland, they're not. Look, why do you guys ask such silly questions? I'm going to tell you something. Stop going and watching Sean Hannity. I know you won't, because you won't listen to me. Stop listening to Benny Arthur Johnson. Stop listening to these people. Why? They are doing this to make you mad. They're just as bad as the black pills. Rage porn. Okay? This is what it is. If you honestly think that Disney's happy losing money, you're really out of it. And I can't help you. Okay. Again, listen to me carefully. Bob Chapek was put in there to bring Disney back to profitability. Bob Iger himself said that's what they were going to do. Okay? He didn't realize it meant dragging everything back to the middle. Going back to the middle doesn't mean going to the far right. Okay? It meant back to profitability, back to basically looking at their customer base, which is 60% normal people with their kids, all right? And despite what the LGBTQ XYZ, I don't fucking care, people think, not many of them actually buy Disney products. So their buying power is minimal. Kind of just like the sequel trilogy fans, they don't buy the products, and there's not enough of them to make the sequel trilogy profitable. Okay? It's about money. Now, if you're a simpleton and you actually think that this is all going to change overnight, I don't know what weed you're smoking, but stop. Here's a red pill. Take it. You've got to look at it the way I talked about it. Okay. You've got Chapek saying no comment. Then Wednesday was the earnings call, and he basically had to explain why it was no comment. Disney, and I agreed with everything he said. Then Friday, he put out this stupid fucking apology. That was people on the board telling him he had to do that. And this is my reply to them. Fuck you. Okay? He didn't have to say a goddamn word after no comment. He really didn't. And he should not have said a word. But there you go. He didn't see this bullshit coming. Okay? And as Cameron says, there's a red line in Hollywood. Okay? About the homo issue. Okay? It's a stupid red line, by the way, and I'm going to explain why I think there is. And because Disney's too expensive. Okay? You fight the wars you can fight. I'm done. I'm done trying to explain it to you, Eastland. I can't do it any better than I have. Okay. Elon Musk is not going to buy Disney. He could buy Lucasfilm. He could buy Marvel. He could buy Pixar, which would be really funny. Oh my God. Disney has to put them up for sale. Okay. One thing at a time. So then, after the apology, the Zoom call gets leaked to Chris Rufo or Raffo. Who do you think leaked it? Who? Put on your little thinking caps. Don't think like you think. Don't listen to Sean Hannity or Benny Arthur Johnson or all the rest of the rage porn purveyors. Think who put that out there for him to use. Bob Chapek. Okay? Bob Chapek. Here they are. Here's Reimagine Tomorrow. How do you think those people felt? Do you think they wanted that Zoom call, which was supposed to be a private meeting, out there for the entire planet to see? And you notice something? None of the Hollywood rags are talking about it. Why? Because it never should have been leaked. But Fox News is talking about it. Wall Street Journal is talking about it. Okay, the places that matter. And these people look at Fox News like it's the devil. It's like, look, Fox News is not a right-wing cable news network. It has people who are on the right, people who are Trump supporters, all right? However, it is not a right-wing network, okay? No matter what Chris Wallace, that entitled thumb-sucking baby, says, it's not. Now, after that, Victoria Alonso then talks about the meeting she had with Bob Chapek, where she was being a pathetic, victim flag-waving asswipe. Okay? She basically, from how it's described, took the sunshine and shine away from the boss. And that is a big no-no. Okay? She said, I went in, had a 45-minute conversation with him, and I begged him, and I told him, can't we be happy too and free? Again, there she is, waiting for a pink slip. Okay? All right? Then we get this Wall Street Journal article, basically totally lambasting Disney as a company and these jackass, bully, fucking weirdos who, after watching people calling me, and I don't, these assholes on the Zoom call, they should be locked in cages. That woman, Carrie Burke, that's Munchausen's by proxy. She's actually pretending her kids are like this. And if you look at her, she's nutty. She looks like a complete nut and a Karen. Okay, this is really the thing. Okay, you guys gotta understand. Okay, it is not going to be. It's coming faster than I thought it was, but still not going to be as fast as you'd like it. Okay, and the longer it goes on, the more rage clicks. Sean Hannity and bigger ratings. Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Benny Arthur Johnson get. Okay, they don't want it to go away. It's just like when you look at the big YouTube channels. They don't want Kennedy to go away. They don't want this stuff to be fixed because they make money off of it. All right? Look, I don't want anybody's politics in my entertainment. And if you do make a political movie, Sophie's, was it? Silkwood, All the President's Men, political thrillers like A Clear and Present Danger, etc. Everyone's going to know what it is, right? They're not to be there to last. I mean, if you look at classic movies, classic animated film, and etc., they're not relevant to the time. They're timeless. Okay. This is the kind of elevated entertainment we demand. Okay. And all right, if you want to watch an 80s movie, Red Dawn, written and directed by John Milius, who's one of my favorite people on the planet. You want to watch a classic movie? Another movie he wrote and directed, The Wind and the Lion. Okay. He was the man behind Dirty Harry's Go Ahead and Make My Day. He wrote that. Okay. He's written more movies with classic lines than anybody. Okay. I'm also friends with his daughter, Amanda. I follow her, we talk. And it's like there's a place for that kind of stuff. Okay. Guys that are geniuses can write relevant stuff like Red Dawn. 1980s was 6, Red Dawn. They can also write The Wind and the Lion. They can write The Rough Riders. They can, you know what I'm saying? They can write Star Wars. They can write Revenge of the Sith. They can come up with Indiana Jones. All right? Timeless, classic, elevated storytelling. We don't have that right now because Hollywood is bound and determined not to hire people who are talented. For instance, Kamran told a story about one of his friends who's gay, who has written a lot of really major league scripts. Now the guy can't get a job because he's white. That's basically discrimination, isn't it? Put a 1 in the chat if you think that's discrimination. Now, he can't say he didn't get the job because he's gay. All right? That wasn't the reason why. It's because he's white. White gay men are now the next victims of this shit. Okay? They don't. I have never heard an activist for the gay community screaming about ists and phobes being racist when he's talking about their struggle. You know, I'm sure LaToya Ravenel would show up here and go, "Oh, you're just a cisgendered woman." And I'd say, "You call me that again, I'm going to break your fucking jaw." That is the N word. Okay? Here, again, the rule is do not use that term or phrase with me or my husband, or I will have you on the ground beating you senseless. And you do not use the word Ms. to me. I am Mrs. Well, the ones that are in charge right now, here's something that happened today. The CEO of Warner Brothers, Jason Kilar, quit. Why? Because Zaslav's coming. This is where it's going to start changing. We've got Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, basically sitting on the board at Twitter. All right, now we've got this fight going on at Disney. And here's the deal. If this is a war, look, if you look at Palpatine and how he engineered Clone Wars, he created the Clone Army, and then he gave the Separatists kind of his consent to start shit with Count Dooku. He was the puppet master. And they went shh, shh, shh. And guess who was the one that survived? Palpatine. Okay? You've got the shareholders now going at the shitty little bullies at Pixar and Reimagine Tomorrow and the rest, probably Lucasfilm too, going after those pieces of shit. Who's going to survive? Well, I tell you one thing, money talks, bullshit walks, okay? All right? And in the end, Chapek is going to come out unscathed with more power, and he's going to be able to get rid of these people because the shareholders are going to be like, no more of this shit. And in this case, the shareholders have a lot more power than some bitch in Hollywood, than some psychotic mom suffering from Munchausen's by proxy, okay, over her kids and her imagined decisions they've made, okay? I'm like, I mean, this is me. Your kid should have been taken away from you, all right? If you actually look at your 6-year-old or your baby and say, well, he's gay, he's trans, he's bi, you should have your kid taken away from you, all right? Why? Because you're being abusive. You're fucking being abusive. You're stealing something precious from them. And you have no right to be a mom or dad if you do that. All right? Then we've got Zaslav coming in. Shit's about to get real in Hollywood. The Will Smith thing did not help them. You know, and they're canceling him right and left. It's not going to do any good. Right, look, a few years ago at the Golden Globes, Ricky Gervais pantsed them. He exposed the worst parts of it. All right? And a lot of the people that are the worst parts of it weren't there. All right, look, the people that cause all this chaos, we don't know what their names are. It's not, you know, Steven Spielberg or Tom Hanks or et cetera, et cetera. One of them. The people that abuse children. The people that force this shit down other people's throats. The real club, we don't know who they are. All right. They're hidden from view. All right. We don't, well, there's not any press on them, but they're there. And they're the ones that need to go. Okay. Kathy Kennedy's just a virtue signaling bitch and an activist because she wants to be the goddess queen of all. And everybody else is going, looking at her going, it's very telling to me now, watching this happen, that the world, I mean, look, you got Putin putting the Great Reset on notice that Russia's not going to play the game. You've got, I mean, the United Nations and NATO are useless. The world is in a lot of upheaval right now, and the reaction is going to the right. More and more people in the United States are looking at the government saying, fuck you, man. Or being threatened with shortages. All right? Because our president is useless. Okay? We allowed him to be president. We didn't elect him. Don't tell me that election wasn't stolen. I saw with my husband when those votes landed in Philadelphia at 4 fucking in the morning. Okay? So please, do not tell me that what I saw was wrong. Okay? We are in a bad place right now. But the shining beacon of hope is Elon Musk, David Zaslav, and Bob Chapek just saying, fuck it, you want to fight. Looking at the idiots in the LGBTQ community at Disney going, you want this? Here, you can have the dykes kissing in Lightyear. We're going to make sure everybody hears about it. Lightyear's dead. It's dead on arrival. Why? Because of this shit. Okay? I can take my kid to that. Here's the deal. Disney will shove that shit down your... No, not Disney. Look, I don't hate Disney. Okay? I don't. If you're such a simpleton that every time something bad happens at Disney, you gotta blame the entire company, I can't talk to you. Okay? Companies are made of people. Disney has 80,000 people working for it in Florida. Florida has a supermajority of Republicans that aren't going to go away anytime soon. Okay? Neither is Ron DeSantis. Okay? He's there, win re-election, and he's there till he decides to run for president, which I don't think he's going to run into 2024. I think he's going to wait because there's absolutely no way the Democrats are going to win the next presidential election. Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, you got to keep your eyes open here. But how many of those 80,000 people do you think voted for Ron DeSantis? A vast majority. How many do you think? And I'll tell you something. They did a poll about the Parents' Rights Act. Democrats wanted it too. See, you're in trouble when your own party goes against you. Okay, like this. Most people don't like this shit. And I'll tell you something else. You bully people long enough, they're going to punch back. All right? They're going to punch back. And it's ugly when that happens. Nothing I can do about it. There it is. Okay. So we've got this Wall Street Journal article. I've got it in the description. Oh, please, come on, man. Okay. But I'll read it for you. Disney decides to go for woke. And then it's written by a guy named Gerard Baker. Is opposition to parents' rights really the hill for a children's entertainment company to die on? All right, and the first part's very sarcastic. Now, I know there are people watching this that don't understand nuance in language and don't understand sarcasm. But keep in mind, most of this article is very sarcastic. He's basically mocking them with all this. If executives of the Walt Disney Company are serious about tackling the endemic poison of cisgendered white patriarchal ideology in our wicked society, it's high time they revisited their enormous back catalog of works that have promoted this pernicious propaganda for too long. That's the opening salvo. Okay. And you're right. AZ is right. So he goes on and he says, I'm going to skip a paragraph. And this is the funny part because they've already kind of got this. I would recommend establishing a large team of young managers, recent graduates in critical gender theory from our most selective universities, all thoroughly trained in enforcement techniques used in corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and dedicated to eliminating every noxious hint of gender rigidity from the company's output. And it goes on. What he's basically doing is he's mocking Reimagine Tomorrow and Victoria Alonso and the people at Pixar, etc., etc. He's basically mocking Pablo Hidalgo here. He's mocking all of them. This is a shareholders, this is the biggest publication for business and investors. This is the Wall Street fucking Journal. And it's owned by whom, chat? Who? Rupert Murdoch, who is the biggest shareholder at Disney. I'm going to ask you a question. Is Rupert Murdoch happy with all this? No. That old fucker's like, what the fuck? All right, he's not happy. All right. This is going to get really ugly for the LGBTQ activist community. All right? Because they're going to learn, hey, look, we gave you marriage. Okay? We don't give a flying fuck how you live. We don't, it's none of our business. Ick. Okay? But you have crossed the line including our kids in this shit. Okay? This. All right? No. What they're doing, they're not the victims. Your kids are the victims. Families are the victims. You, as consumers, are the victims of this shit. This left wing, fascist, NAZI, LGBTQ, XYZ, I don't give a fuck, bullshit. Okay? Because that's how they're behaving. Okay? They're not even the new Puritans. They're a bunch of rainbow colored fucking brown shirts wandering around hitting you in the head. And it doesn't have anything to do with how they live or if they're victims. This is about narcissism, projection. Okay? They attack white males because they hate their fathers. This is what no-fault divorce brings. Okay? All right? This is what no-fault divorce brings. All right? And, in my opinion, the pill. I mean, first off, as a Catholic, I disagree with it. But second of all, you wonder why behavior is so bad now? Think about it. Think about the things we didn't do before that thing came along. And how is it affecting women's biology in their bodies? Is it causing cancer? You bet. The pill is a carcinogen. They're never going to tell you that, okay? And I don't know what the solution is beyond why don't you guard your behavior, okay? And it's not a moral judgment to say that. It's not. Guard your behavior because it's unhealthy to live that way. Okay, it's a health issue. You know, you gotta do is talk to somebody who works in the health area of the Army, and they'll tell you point blank. Okay, they'll tell you point blank. So here's the deal. We sit back and we wait. There's shit going down. There's shit going down. Now you got the investors really pissed off. Okay, this stuff started in the conservative blogs. Now it's in the Wall Street opinion pages. Okay, it's going to get worse. And you're going to see people like us fighting back in the mainstream media. Okay, and look, how do you make someone hate somebody? By doing exactly what these activists are doing. All right? You cause resentment. You cause anger. And you make people not feel bad for you. Oh, I think you will, Joker voice. I think you will. And that's the bottom line. Okay? That's the bottom line. All right? They're causing themselves undue harm. They made all these giant leaps, and now they're as far as I'm concerned, they're going to start taking steps back. Because people are, I mean, Arizona, Texas, Florida, watch the entire South come up with laws, parental rights laws. I'll tell you something else. There was a teacher in New Hampshire or Delaware who was arrested or who was fired for claiming in a video that she had like 12 non-binary, pansexual, trans students, and she never told their parents what was going on with them. She got fired for it. All right. You come near our kids, we will come after you. And this is why this movement, this activist movement, is going to start taking steps backwards. Okay? Now watch. What communities value family more than anything else? The Latino community. Watch what they do. Okay? Watch what they do. I mean, we've already got African American parents standing up before school boards trying to get rid of critical race theory. Well, Joker voice, I don't believe in boycotting. Boycotts I went off on Benny Arthur Johnson because boycotts don't work. Now, if you want to do that, fine, but don't demand everybody else do that. It doesn't help. I mean, fine, cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Disney's opening up in 40 more countries. Okay? There you go. I mean, you're not going to win that fight. Here's how you win it. You don't watch the woke shit. Okay? You don't watch the woke shit. And again, a lot of people aren't going to listen, but the streaming people know what you're watching. They don't need Nielsen or Samba TV to tell them. They can see this movie, Return of the Jedi, was viewed this many times. Mandalorian episode 16 was viewed this many times. The Book of Boba Fett, the last episode, was viewed this many times. They can see that. On the opposite end, they can see no one's watching Moon Knight. Okay? I couldn't watch the first episode. I had to turn it off. I was bored out of my mind. Well, Joker voice, people just want to be angry. They don't want to think. They don't want to sit there and go, oh, okay, I get it now. Why would they do that? When it's easier just to be pissed off. We have a lack on both sides of the aisle of intellectual curiosity. Okay? Now I'm going to leave you with something funny. Go to Salty Cracker's video. Oh, they do hate being corrected. They do. I mean, the black pills hate it big time here. Go watch Salty Cracker's video about Elon Musk getting a seat on the board at Twitter. The meltdown of Twitter employees is by and large the most beautiful fucking thing I have seen in a long time. His presence there is causing many to quit. All right? There's the door, and if they think he gives a fuck, no. I don't care. Anyway, I gotta go. I will talk to you guys later. Anyway, Jason Kilar left Warner Brothers ahead of the merger. All right, Hollywood's about to get taken to the woodshed. All right, by David Zaslav. We got Chapek, I think, probably now operating from a place of strength within the board, with the shareholders going, what the fuck? All right. We've got Hollywood still reeling from the Will Smith thing. And we got Elon Musk, board of directors at Twitter. See you guys around the galaxy.